Now we're going to start using some other cool tools in GeoGebra. And I went to geogebra.org and clicked on that icon, Start GeoGebra. It takes me here. Make sure you go to Geometry. And there's some tools that are built into GeoGebra. One is called a midpoint or center tool. And the other one is called, well, there's a perpendicular line tool, which I introduced you to. And in particular, there's a perpendicular bisector tool. So let me just show you the effect of the perpendicular bisector. I'm going to make a segment, so click on segment, click on your first point and your second point, and there it is. The perpendicular bisector tool is super easy. You just click on the tool, perpendicular bisector, click on your segment, and there it is. You can tell this is actually the midpoint right here, and this angle is 90 degrees. How can I tell? This is an angle tool. It gives you measures. And if I click here and then here, you can see that's a 90-degree angle. Okay, we will be using that tool shortly, but before I have you use the tool, I really want you to understand how to make a perpendicular bisector. So I'm going to do a second segment and show you how to do it without using that perpendicular bisector tool. Right here, I just did another segment. I didn't make it be the same length as this one, although maybe that would be good. Let me undo that. So I'm going to put my point somewhere here, and I'll use my compass so that this length, you click on A first, then B, and then you see a circle floating, click on C. I'm going to put a point somewhere on my circle. Okay. So now I have another segment that is congruent to AB. All right, and I don't really need this circle right now, so I'm going to hide it. Whoops. I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and I'm so used to hitting Control H and unhide that circle. Okay, so this is my segment here. I should be able to move that point, and I can move this. All right, so how do I make a perpendicular bisector for a segment if I don't have that tool? Well, one thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do a circle. So you see the circle with center through point. So you click on circle, click on C, and then anywhere, I don't care where you click, just click on the other point. And you've got a circle. You can make now click on the move so you can move the points. You can make the circle bigger or smaller just by moving that point. This only moves the center of the circle, well, and it does increase the length and the size. Okay, so I have this circle here. Now I want to make another circle centered over here that's the same length. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and use the compass tool and measure from C to E. So I clicked C, now I click E, and it's showing me a circle, and I'm going to go ahead and put it on D. Now I'm going to do an intersection of these two circles. I clicked first to intersect, I clicked on one circle and then the other circle. And you see points G and F here. The only reason I have point E is to help set how big my first circle is. Now an interesting thing you notice is if my point E doesn't go at least halfway, my circles won't touch. So I have to go at least halfway across before my circles start to touch. And to make it really good, I really want to go more than halfway across. So if you were doing this like actual construction, I'm going to move this segment out of the way here. If I was doing an actual construction with a compass and drawing circles, I would want my circle to go more than halfway. And I would take a look at where these two circles intersected. Now if I do a line, so instead of segment, come and click on the line tool. You click on one point, then the other. That should look a lot like this. And if I click my angle here, I'm going to measure. Click first on the CD segment on the right here, then there. And this says 270 degrees. Don't really like that. So I'm going to hit Object Properties. I like to keep my angles under 180 degrees. So I'll close that. So you can see that this is automatically perpendicular. No matter where I move the points, this line is staying in the exact same place. The only time you don't see the line is if I don't go halfway across. But once I go halfway across, then you can see that this line stays right here. So where is this point? How do I know that that point's in the middle? One thing I can do is find the intersection of this line and that segment. And I can go ahead and do a segment from C to H and from H to D. Hopefully I can right click here and do object properties, and I want to have just this segment. Let me see. Let me hit show it. Oops. So I'm going to do algebra so I can see what I'm doing. View algebra so I can see my segments, and I'm trying to get rid of not the little segments but the big segment there. See, that's one and that's the other. So you can see both those segments are the same, and you can actually see these two segments cut in half. And the way I'll show you that, let me go ahead and do object properties. I'll change, I'm going to move this a little bit so you can see it better. I'll change this segment right here, this first one, put the color so it's red, and show the value. That's 2.84. I'm going to click on this other segment, change the color so it's something different, blue. Oops, that was a red segment. Let's click on this other segment here. I don't need that segment. Let's see. Object properties. I'm right clicking because it's not obvious that I have just that segment. Color, and we'll change that one to blue. And I'll show the value. And you can see that it's the same. So H is the midpoint. This is a perpendicular bisector construction, which I'm going to go ahead and close this. And I'm going to hit View Algebra. I'll hide that. Scoot this back. And that's basically what Geogebra is doing here. When I click on this perpendicular bisector tool, it's creating two circles around the two endpoints that go more than halfway, does an intersection of those two, and basically runs a straight line right through them. That straight line, well, they're all straight, that line will run through the midpoint and it will be perpendicular. So if I hide the circles, you'll see that this looks a lot like that.